people think that bees are an insignificant part of our ecosystems, but little do they know bees are actually more important than we think. What would the world be like without bees? The honeybee. The honeybee is any bee member of the genus Apis primarily distinguished by the production and storage of honey. The worker bee. The worker bees bring in and store food, feed the young and each other. They also make wax combs secreted from their own bodies. They're the ones that make the group decisions like building comb, raising drones, storing honey, or preparing to reproduce by swarming. The honeybee dance plays an important role in the survival of the species. It has been a part of the colony for years and has remained one of the most important methods used in foraging for food. The honeybee dance is a way for bees to communicate with one another. A honeybee that discovers a new food source will tell other honeybees about its location through the honeybee dance. When a worker bee returns from an abundant food source, she will dance inside their nest in a circle. The drone bee. Drone bees are tasked with providing body heat in the hive and for mating with the queen. After mating, they usually die. Only 1% of drone bees mate. The queen bee. Queen bees are tasked with laying eggs for their colony. How is honey produced? Worker bees are responsible for collecting nectar and pollen from the flower of a plant. Some pollen from the male reproductive organs of the plant, the stamen, sticks to the hairs of the body. When she visits the next flower, some of the pollen is rubbed off onto the female reproductive organs of the flower, the stigma or the tip of the pistil. The nectar is stored within the stomachs and is passed from one worker until the next until the water within it diminishes. At this point, the nectar becomes honey, which workers then store in the cells of the honeycomb. When this occurs, fertilization is possible and the bees help fertilize the plant so it can grow and produce food. Cross-pollination helps at least 30% of the world's crops and 90% of our wild plants to thrive. Without bees to spread seeds, many plants, including food crops, would die off. This is why bees are important. Over 1/3 of our food supply relies upon bees for pollination services. The honeybee is a major pollinator of many food crops such as almonds, apples, avocados, blueberries, cantaloupes, cherries, cranberries, cucumbers, sunflowers, watermelon, and many other crops all rely on honeybees for pollination. If the honeybee does not pollinate the crops do not grow and produce the food that gets harvested and brought to the store where we buy it and bring it home to feed ourselves and our families. The bees are dying at an alarming rate, and many factors contribute to the universal decrease in the bee population. So what's killing the bees? Climate change, pesticides, and disease are killing the bees, and the stress of being trucked from orchid to pollinate different crops. They all play a role in the decline of managed honeybee populations. Agriculture in both croplands and pastures occupy about 35% of the ice-free land surface on Earth, and is one of the largest ecosystems on the planet. It is being increasingly industrialized, which is harmful to the bee populations. Additionally, a greater use of fertilizers, more toxic chemicals, more monoculture crops are taking a toll on our health. Colony collapse disorder is a phenomenon that occurs when the majority of worker bees in a colony disappear and leave behind a queen, plenty of food, and few nurse bees to take care of the remaining immature bees and the queen. This was once thought out to pose a major long-term threat to bees. Reported cases of CCD have declined substantially over the last 5 years. The number of hives that do not survive over the winter months, the overall indicator for bee health, has maintained an average of 28.7% since 2006 to 2007, but dropped to 23.1% for the 2014 to 2015 winter. While winter losses remained somewhat high, the number of losses attributed to CCD has dropped from roughly 60% of total hives lost in 2008 to 31.1% in 2013. In initial reports for 2014 to 2015 losses, CCD is not mentioned. Fortunately, there are ways to help the bee population. Be organic. Buying organic is an easy way to support bee pollinators. Be savvy at home. Most pest problems can be solved without toxic and persistent pesticides. Be a gardener. Plant bee-friendly flowers and fruits. Obviously, there are more ways you can support the bees, but that's all for today. Thank you.